bunnies and takes one of his guns, goes home, kills his bunny, tries to kill himself, can't, and then he's like, what a fucking day. Guy won an Oscar for this short film. It was pretty interesting.
It was quite good.
The movie you make me watch today is The Banshees of Inishirin, 2022, directed by Martin McDonagh. I would say one of my favorite movies of 2022.
I agree.
Top
some great
3.
Some great acting. Colin Farrell fucking kills it all the time, but this might be his best role.
Amazing.
I think so.
Is it his best role?
I think it is because it's something he's never played before. You know what I mean? He's usually like the tough guy, or usually the funny guy, or usually the hot guy. But in this movie, he was the or the asshole. And this was completely opposite. I mean, he was definitely an asshole in this movie, but it was completely opposite of his usual demeanor as an actor. He was great. He stole this movie.
He's also they say dull in the movie, but he's also a little socially awkward.
He's a weird fucking dude.
When you like to call him an asshole.
Well, when he gets drunk, he's a complete asshole. You know, he's an asshole a lot in this movie. Everyone's drunk with him.
I think he turns into everyone has a little bit of an asshole in them when they're drunk. But I think the Podrick character that he plays, he turns more into the asshole because he thinks that's what make him interesting. Because
he desperately wants to be liked.
Yeah, especially by his friend Colm, which is played by Brendan Gleeson.
I think he desperately wants to be liked by Colm. He doesn't. I don't think he cares about anybody else.
But that's the only person in this movie who really matters is Colm.
Yeah, exactly.
Besides for them, it's like nobody.
It's not like he's striving for everyone, though.
He's a simple guy.
He's a simple guy who lives a simple life, and he's very happy in his life. And he
lives in a beautiful place.
And he doesn't. It's beautiful, but it's also very sad. It's just very. It's a long time. What was it set in the 20s? I think.
You got that many fucking lower class white people in one place is going to be pretty shitty.
Right, and it's just an island. They all know each other. It's the same shit every day. It's a very
beautiful.
mundane
same
life.
Shit every day.
It is, but they're doing the same thing. They're seeing the same people. Not a lot to it, and they're just what he enjoys is just being.
And that's one thing. He's simple enough to just enjoy the simple things. It's almost nice the way he is. That he's just living. He's just living in the moment. He's chilling. All he wants is to hang out with his buddy.
Anything. He just wants to chill. Yeah.
He just wants to hang out. He just wants to talk about some bullshit and drink a beer with his buddy.
I definitely know what you're saying. Like thinking about only that instead of all the other things in life that you have to think about, including like work and just the world. Like that place seems shut out from the world. You know what I mean? They were there. There was only 30 people on that fucking island. And I agree. It seems kind of nice, but also at the same time, it seems kind of terrible. So I think there's both.
It's how you looked at it. And
yeah. Well, that's what the movie's about, right? I mean, get the core of it.
Yeah, it's about
life and what you make of it and how shitty people are and how you adapt to that, right?
It's human nature, really. It's like it's what they're exposed to. It's how they react to it. It's how they react to each other. So it's all.
McDonagh's always had these characters in his movies that are morally ambiguous. Like Seven Psychopaths is about a bunch of fucking dudes who are kidnapping dogs and trying to sell them back. In Bruges is about 2 hitmen that are hiding out because one of them killed a kid. 3 Billboards is one of the most audacious movies.
I think these are 2 of the most moral characters he's has.
Sure. I mean, as a whole, yeah. And as far as those other characters, for sure. But what I mean is that, like, morally ambiguous, I guess isn't the right word for these, but these guys are they're kind of just, all those people were in their own world.
The only bad person on this movie was the cop.
Yeah, the cop who was also in the short film.
Because
as the train ticket guy.
Because Colm comes off as a dick in the beginning, but you quickly realize like he's just a nice guy. It seemed like he was being a dick initially just to kind of get Podrick away from him, try to prove a point. But you quickly realize like
he was trying to rip the Band-Aid off.
Right. Yeah. You quickly realize he still cares about the guy. He still thinks he's a nice guy. He just wants more to life than just his
which he shows throughout the movie that he actually cares about him.
He cares about him in heartbreaking ways. This movie is heartbreaking. This movie is about heartbreak. It just happens to be between 2 dudes, 2 platonic friends.
Dudes,
that what is this movie about, Jake? Let's talk about what this movie is about. We already kind of.
I guess it's about friendship, and it's about these 2 main characters. The main character being Podrick, played by Colin Farrell. He is just this happy-go-lucky guy, more or less, and then he quickly finds out that his best friend Colm is basically just doesn't want to hang out with him anymore. He goes, the movie basically starts with him walking to Colm's house, knocking on his door. Colm doesn't answer the door. He's just sitting in his living room smoking.
What's he doing? Nothing. Well, what's he doing?
He's knocking on his window. He's like, "Hey, what's up, man? You coming to the fucking pub? It's 2:00.
Played by Brendan Gleeson, who's just fabulous.
One thing before we go, we gotta say this is an island, a fictional island of Inishirin, set off the coast of Ireland. So it's absolutely breathtaking, like we've said. It's just like
it's a real island. Or there's two real islands they shot on. It was, but they didn't shoot. Island.
They didn't shoot at a fictional island, but it was based at a fictional island.
Right. It wasn't on a lot.
This wasn't done. I read somewhere Inishirin translates loosely to Irish Island. So it's just very kind of vague.
I didn't know you spoke Irish.
I don't speak, and it'd be Gaelic, I guess, but that's what it loosely translates.
We're not getting canceled on here, boy.
Whoa.
You can...
This guy's Gaelic over here.
Anyways, a bunch of Gaelics in this movie.
Yeah, a bunch of Gaelics. He meets up with the guy. He goes.
He tries to get his friend to go to the pub with him, which is something. It seems at this point this is
every day. This is everyday life.
At least when he goes to the bar, and the bartender's like, "Where the fuck is Colm?" He's like, "I don't know. I fucking asked him."
Yeah. He said, have the routine.
And then his sister,
at
same
2:00
thing.
every day, which is funny to me.
Yeah. So it definitely seems like, this is his life. He does this every day. But today's different.
He takes care of his animals in the morning. Then that's different. It's a different day.
I love his relationship with the animals. That is one of the best parts of this movie. For sure. To be honest, like
Jenny,
it's pretty amazing.
Jenny the donkey.
Jenny's the best,
and it very much shows like this is everyone's. Everyone has a basic life here because like everyone's more or less shook. At least everyone we see is a little bit like shook and surprised by this little rift between these two characters. Or
what's the word that they say? They're like, Rowan. Are you guys?
You Rowan?
Rowan.
Rowan. So that's like arguing, right?
I guess.
Yeah, definitely. Are you Rowan? I don't think we're Rowan. The dialogue is amazing because it's not something we're used to. Number one, it already seems like a kind of a fantasy world we're living in, even though it's not. So they can. I think he can do whatever he wants with the dial. It seemed real enough to me. This is how these people talk.
Taking it back to, like I said, like Tarantino and PTA, like their worlds are always a little elevated. It's like real shit, but just a little elevated. McDonagh too, you know what I mean?
He definitely does that.
I think the best writers kind of do that because they have these crazy ideas that they really want to put into them, so it just ends up being a little bit elevated. And I agree with you. Like it's like watching a play. Like these people, this movie, there's not a lot to
McDonagh
this
was
movie,
a playwright before.
He's written like 12 plays. The last one was in 2015, actually. So it's been recently. These people, there's really not much going on in this movie at all, besides for the immediate plot, but you're never bored. The characters, the people, the landscape, the set design, the cinematography is so on point in that you're transported to this place, a place you have never been. There's some movies to where you're like so just enthralled by it, and this is one of those movies. That's what I think that was what had to work for this like minuscule plot to work. You know what I mean? The plot is so small, but the characters are so huge. And you know what's crazy about Martin McDonagh too? I don't know if you guys, I'm sure you watched behind the scenes shit, but he doesn't outline his scripts. He doesn't write. He just starts writing, and as it goes, it happens. Like when the whole thing with the guy cutting his fingers off, he said that came to him as it happened in the story. Like as
he said, he was
like,
surprised.
You got to get out of here. You got to get out of here, or this is gonna happen. And he was like, "Oh shit, that's a great idea." It's like he cuts his fucking fingers off. Like that's insane to me to actually like go into something without any sort of outline of like anything. You're just like going through it, and like you're talking as each character, and as it happens organically, it's almost like
you're writing.
You are creating a fake world.
That's
cool.
That writing.
I realized that about the fingers.
It is writing, but most people go in with like an outline, like character breakdowns of like they know who these characters are before they go in to start writing the script, like so they know how they'll get along. This is just like there's two guys walking down the street. What happens? Like it all happens from there. Like that's insane.
Yeah.
Especially the fingers cutting off thing, because that seems like a very big plot point. So you would think like he had like that it's like a destination you're trying to get to, sort of thing. But apparently not. I didn't realize that.
Well, what he said to that was like, now what's going to happen? Can you act the next 30 pages to dissect that exact thing? And that's what happens. Like you see the cause and the effect of that on the town. You know what I mean? That's my favorite part of this is like the town are observing this entire relationship, and the relationship is so funny. And the town are like the only thing that like that's who we're seeing it through too, which is awesome. And the dude, who's the young kid? I didn't never remember that dude's name.
That guy's
Barry
awesome.
Keoghan.
That guy's fucking great, man.
That's the kid from the Sacred Deer, right?
Fucking great. Yeah.
Plays
that
that
guy's
character
great.
so well.
Is he Irish?
Yeah,
he's got to be. He's European, of course.
That whole cast is Irish.
They have to be. They have to be just to. Yeah. I mean, I know.
Who played the sister? Because she was great too.
Carrie Condon. You can.
She was fucking awesome.
Fake accents, but this is a different dialect of a different language in a different time. And I feel like you have to have some kind of base in there just to, because they nail it. Every single person nails it. It's just the way they talk. So, the way they end everything, I wonder how accurate it was to the time. I wonder if that's how they actually talked back then, or I wonder if that's how they talk now on those little tiny islands.
Do you know what I love about the time period too? It wasn't until I watched it 2.5 times now, and it wasn't until the second time when I watched it that I realized it was a period piece, because I felt like this could exist somewhere still right now, and it'd be such a different kind of place to where people would still act just like this. You know what I mean? Like, I didn't realize it was a 1923 movie until
If this was just like a simple, could be the 50s, could be the 70s, could be now.
It could be now.
Just some random island in Ireland, because even now there's islands that like people don't have cars on. You can't get cars to some small islands that people just still work like that, work with horse and buggy and things of that nature. So
I felt the same way.
Were simple, but they're simplistic, on purpose. You know what I mean? It's just like it's not,
because those houses Brendan Gleeson's house was a real house. They didn't build that house, so I mean those houses still exist out on those islands. I think they built the pub and they built Podrick's house, but I mean it all looks the same. Those rows of roads, those long alleyways of rock walls, those were all real. I mean, those were amazing.
Yeah, they looked great.
I want to say I think he only really said it during that time period is have that Civil War as the backdrop, because the Civil War has a lot to do with what's
going on,
symbolically what's going on with the two friendships. There's the history of the Civil War that these two sides were at just like a year before were fighting together, and now they're fighting each other. Now it's kind of, symbolism of Colin and Podrick's relationship. I think even deeper than that. There's a lot.
We don't even know who's fighting or what they're fighting for. It's just like, we know in whatever because they're not fighting against England. It's a civil war at this point, right? So
at that point, it just came out of a war with England, but now it's a civil war between two different sides of Ireland. But
I love it in the beginning when he hears the cannons over there and he's just like, I don't know what you're fighting for, boys, but fucking good luck.
Yeah, good luck to you. Yeah, and then there's also the for deeper meaning, like the civil war within each character. Like there's a lot of inner conflict of everybody. There's Cullum, which he struggles with. Like, does he defriend his long-term friend? Does he not? Does he go back? There's that with I think a lot of these characters. Even with Barry Keoghan's character, the Dominic, like he's basically in love with the one his best friend's sister, and he has all these home traumas, but he's trying to just be a happy guy. But there's a lot of inner turmoil with all these characters.
There's a lot of civil war going on, metaphorically and literally.
Oh yeah.
And back to the quote to them too, like, what I don't know what they're fighting for. What are they fighting for? He just doesn't want to be his friend anymore. And
it just seems like a dude who just tired of shit and wants to change. And this is what he's doing. He's like, I'm making change.
Brendan Gleeson and Carrie Condon had the Siobhan and Colm had the same thing. And he even says that at one point. He's like, don't you see where I'm coming from? And she does. They just handle it in different ways. She gets out of there and goes and follows her dream. And he does the same thing. He follows his dream. He writes writes the piece that he wanted to, even after he cuts all his fucking fingers off. But at what cost? His cost was much more, but her cost was big too. It was not easy for her to do what she did. She left. She left her
someone
family. She knows can't take care of himself probably, other than his fucking animals, and enduring a time. But she had to. I was wondering why the fuck would she leave, but she probably wouldn't have unless if he didn't start cutting his fingers off.
Yeah, under the surface, everyone in this movie was pretty much depressed, except maybe Podrick. Like she even like says in the one part, she's like, "Do you ever get lonely?" Like, and he's just like, "Oh, not really."
Well,
but she certainly has her issues, and she needed to leave. She needed more to this life. Like, what was she doing? Like, she was just hanging out at home all the time, talking to old Lady McCormick.
We learned that,
which was an amazing character.
the Banshee.
That's the Banshee.
We also, I think their parents died, right? We don't really know exactly what happened there. So it feels like she's just there taking care of her little brother after her parents died. And she probably had plans and then had to do this. You know,
there was implications that the parents died at the same time too. So clearly, like, they both suffered some tragic loss, even though they did say it was
shipwreck or something.
I think 7 years prior. Yeah.
Fucking horse.
I was listening to an interview with McDonagh, and he said that there was a deleted scene where Colin goes to their graves, and that it shows that they died on the same day. And he's like, there might have been some implications of like a suicide situation, but he's like, but I didn't really flush that out. But I thought that was
that they suicided themselves.
Possibly. He said that there were some implications that he thought was like he could use those as like suicidal implications, but it didn't play exactly the way he wanted it to.
I mean, it makes sense going with the whole depression of everyone besides for him thing. And also, another thing you mentioned, you didn't flesh it out. Another thing McDonagh said is that, like, when most actors like backstory or
that's what I was
plot
about to
that
say.
you can give them, and he's like, yeah, I don't really do that. He's like, I like actors that come with their own. He's like, maybe call it lazy or just call it like I don't care. And I was just like, Jesus, man,
I love that.
And you know what it is? It's
the way this guy makes movies is how I want to make movies.
The way someone would say that, like if there's a random person would say that, people would be like, yeah, fuck this guy. But like when you make movies as good as he does, and you say that, you're like, well, it works. It works for him at least. You know
but he also said
quality shit.
He also said that's up to the actors.
He said that he likes the actors to come with it because like that's like they're one of their biggest contributions. You know what I mean?
But like you always are like, oh, the director's got to, and most people would say it, director's got to know everything. If an actor comes to them and asks, and I was just listening to an interview with somebody else, they were like, yeah, this wasn't in the movie, but if they came to me and asked, I have to have an answer for them. Whereas he's just like, there is no,
you know what it is?
There's no need for it. We're not living in their past. We're living in there now. Sorry, go ahead.
His characters are so like strong and so think that like it doesn't really you don't really need it. You know what I mean? I guess I don't know.
Yeah, his characters always
that's how he feels at least.
Deep too.
Obviously,
so
that's how
surprising.
He feels. Yeah. He feels that. So,
but he's also works with some of the greatest fucking actors ever. He's the way that they bring it. I mean, that's If that's up to them, then they are killing it.
I'm not putting it down in any way. I'm just saying it's he works differently in many ways than most people. Like his the way he does things is very unique.
I love it.
Reminds me of Coppola a little bit. Coppola did a lot of things where he would try to just, not that he reinvented the wheel, but he would just take risks and be strong-headed about a lot of things that people doubted or didn't doubt or would question. And he was just like, no, that's just how we're going to do it. You know what I mean? And it worked. It always worked out in the end.
Yeah, because when you're just doing things because that's the way they're done, shit gets fucking boring.
Yeah, but it's not even to that effect. It's effect of like having enough, like, because that's the thing. What if Colin Farrell's the type of actor where he needs the backstory? Now he's got to do it himself, and maybe that's not. Obviously, it's not a bad thing. You know what I mean? So I don't know. It just like you said, most directors I've ever listened to, and every director besides from McDonagh, always says the opposite. So he does things his own way, and it works. His shit's just strong. His characters are great,
and I think that speaks to the strength of the actors too. That they can just 100%. Create that themselves. Like they don't need that guidance. They can take what they're given and create these great characters. Because that's one of his greatest strength, Martin McDonagh. I feel like his characters are always so interesting,
Yeah,
and it's interesting
sure.
that you say that, because I didn't realize that either, that he doesn't really give them backstory. They're just, this is what you have.
Then you got another director like Tarantino's character is super interesting, but he loves writing backstory. You know what I mean? Like he
writes
whole joy in writing
novels.
backstory. That's what I'm saying. So there's just, it's like either way, but it both works out fucking beautifully because they both are some of the best writers in the game, in the history of the game.
These characters in this story just don't require anything else but what's going on the screen, obviously, because that's what it is. But that it's so simple. It is how, even though this movie is one of the fucking deeper movies of 2022, the concept is so simple that like I said, I just don't think it matters. And maybe that's what that's like the stories he writes. Yeah, that's the stories he writes. Nobody gives a shit what, like, who fucking I can't think of a single person of a play, but you know, nobody cares about their backstory while they're on stage. It's just what's happening right now in front of you.
Exactly.
Right. There's not flashbacks of them being buddies in the past, of them like coming up together, and like there's no like, oh, well, how did they meet? There's none of that. We don't need that.
We don't need it.
We know they were. There's not even really scenes of them being friends. We just know the fact that they
know they were best
friends. Yeah.
Context clues. Mm-hmm. We learn everything, and we have to figure it out by ourselves. But it's easy. It's simple, and but fucking A, man, it's so sad. Did anybody? You got a haiku?
No, I didn't go haiku.
Yeah, I don't know how. Did not even think about haiku.
I got a haiku.
Say it.
I was all about this movie, and I didn't write it.
Pretty sure I got a haiku.
All right.
Banshees of Inishirin.
It's funny that I never remember the haiku. It's funny, like how I remember them randomly, and I don't know why. I feel like we're all like that.
Are you gonna
yeah, I know. I have like two that I was here. I'll just say this one. This one's deep. Human condition. Friends that were, are, and will be. War on two fronts.
Okay, I like
it.
Pretty nice. That was nice.
Pretty on point.
Yeah.
Here's my second one. Don't deduct digits. Donkey didn't do shit. And then I had the same one of that. Here. What is legacy? That would be the last one for it.
I liked when Colin Farrell's character would get mad. When Podrick would get mad and he would actually start making a little bit of sense because he was like trying to tell you how he felt about the whole thing. It was really awesome because like the whole time you're just kind of feeling like shit for him because he's just sad, but he was the only happy one. And then when he gets mad and actually like really says how he feels, you're kind of like, yeah, good for you. Fucking tell this motherfucker. Like, fuck this guy. Like, that's what I think this movie made me feel more than anything is like, I get the point of what Brandon Gleeson was doing, but if I was Podrick, I would fuck with this guy so hard because of that. I would not leave him alone. Like, no one, if anyone did this to me, he would not get left alone. Because
that's the opposite of what you should do.
Do it better than that. Come to me and tell me you're going to do this, and then I'll be okay with it.
He did. He told him. He said he didn't like it. He told him
after the fact. Told him after the fact.
Well, I think that what makes this movie interesting is like who do you relate to more? Like who's right, who's wrong? Like is there's not like an answer to the who's right and who's wrong, but it's like how about that question? Who do you relate to more? Because even me, I was having a hard time deciding.
I see it from both sides.
Slightly Podrick, but I don't relate to Podrick. Like the main character, he's the focus.
I definitely don't relate to Podrick.
Well, he's not talking about Podrick as a person, Podrick in the situation.
Yeah,
like if you were the guy, if someone came to you, it was like, sure. What if Jake came to you and was like, Anthony, we're not friends anymore. Don't ever talk to me again. You'd be like, what the fuck? You'd be like, what happened? And then he starts cutting off his fingers.
Yeah, but I wouldn't. I'd probably accept it a lot quicker than Podrick did. I wouldn't let you cut your fingers off.
Wouldn't it annoy you though?
Yeah. You guys annoy me all the time though.
And that world's so different too, though, because like the scope of people they have is so narrow. Like we know
that's a good point.
Of people, and they know like
I know like 20, 12, but yeah, I'm with
13 people, but like you know what I mean. Like, but like the people they're exposed to, there's a couple dozen of them, maybe. I don't know for sure, but it's like that
somebody
doesn't seem
exposed
like that
themselves
in
this movie.
Yeah.
Yeah, the cop did in his chair
when
he went in to steal the booze.
We see the
little dick.
Yeah, it's a sad story too, and I like that. It's interesting because I like what they do with the relationship of Podrick and Dominic as well, because clearly that's just a reflection of his relationship with Colm, because like he's in the age difference is there, what is it, 10, 15 years easily, the difference between Colm and Podrick, and I think it goes the other way with Podrick and Dominic.
Yeah.
And Dominic's the dumber one of the two, clearly. He's clearly got some touch of Asperger's or autism.
I think they're about. I would say they're both
back then, but
about same on the spectrum. I think Dominic's
simple dudes.
Dominic's just got a little more like awkwardness to him.
This is the thing too, like where they are, like they're not
Tourette's-y.
like, school's not important where they are either. You know what I mean? Like they might not be like
they ain't got no school in Inishirin.
That's what I'm saying. School ain't a thing. So these people are dumb. That's because of their mental capabilities, because the way they live. You
got to brave the war on the mainland. You want to go to fucking school. You want to learn how to read. You want to learn how to read.
And Dominic's got to be more fucked up too, because clearly his father abuses him when like Podrick says his parents were nice. So I think there's a difference there. Where
let me ask you this: what happened to Dominic? Did his dad kill him or what?
I think Dominic killed himself. That's my thought. Yeah, because it was the last time you see him was when he basically more or less professes his love for Siobhan.
Yeah,
and then he walks away all sad. And the last thing he said,
that was one of the best scenes in the movie.
Well, I gotta go do the thing I was gonna do over there, I guess. And like that to me, that was the implication of like, okay, killed himself, because his dad didn't seem like upset, but it was like I think the suicide was more implied than. Because my first watch, I thought his father, but then once I saw it again, I'm like,
well, his father
how do you
finds
commit
him
suicide in that type of water? You just like lay on your your chest, and then
it's probably 10 degrees or negative 5 degrees in that water. You're gonna die in a minute.
Yeah, could have jumped on some rocks or some shit. I don't know. There was higher points in certain areas, so
like where they were sitting.
He might not have known. He may not have known how to swim.
Kill yourself, bro. You could drown in an inch of water, man.
It's not the easy. I think it's a dumb way to go. Like, probably the easier ways. But
Podrick wasn't very smart, as we were saying. Yeah.
I think Dominic was dumber than Podrick, because even Siobhan's like, "Oh, he's the dumbest by miles," and then he's like, "Well, who's the next dumbest?" And she's like,
but then
don't you worry about that.
Then we see him at dinner talking to Siobhan and using words that Podrick doesn't understand.
Yeah.
True.
There was a couple. What did he? I think he said touche. He was like two what? And he was like I feel like that was a scene that kind of showed, he's not necessarily the dumbest guy. Dominic. I think they're all kind of fucking dumb.
Yeah, I think this island is full of dumb people.
30 people.
Like
it's
Colm and Siobhan
have been fucking in incest for about 30 years, probably.
Yeah,
Colm and Siobhan are clearly the smartest people on the island. That's like people comment that, people pretty much notice that, and Siobhan's smart enough to leave.
What's
and
funny
I think that's why
about
Colm
that
is making the decisions he's making, because he's just that he's realizing in his older age, like, he hasn't done shit. He's just been on this fucking island his whole life, and I need
hanging out with Dum Dum.
Yeah.
What's funny about that is this movie does make me question my relationship with you two, but is how they're both perceived. Because Colm's the coolest guy on the island, and Siobhan's just kind of this shut-away old bat that never wants to hang out. And
we got to talk about the Banshee a little more. Like, what's up with that Banshee lady?
Oh, okay. Hey, just forget
that
I was
finished?
in the middle of a fucking conversation.
Sorry, talking. I got lag for a second. My bad.
What about the Banshee? I think she's just kind of there to be a Banshee.
Yeah, but like, what did she add to the story? Like, what do you think she did? I was confused.
I think she was the ultimate instigator. It was her. Everything's her fault. She told him that she just kept reinforcing the fact that they were fighting. They hate each other. She told him to kill the dog.
She did. She did.
She said, "Don't kill the dog." But he goes, "Don't you be putting any thoughts that weren't in my head originally, you old crazy fucking." He goes, "You old crazy fucking nutbag," and she goes, "Ha ha, nutbag."
She predicts the deaths, even though they weren't of the main characters. But
She does.
Which it seemed like it was going in that direction.
She predicts 2 deaths. One was Jenny, I guess.
One was Jenny, one was Dominic.
Oh, Jenny died. That sucked, man. Jenny
choked on his fat fingers.
Yep.
Your fat fingers killed my donkey.
It's not over. That's where it all. I love that. Because it was that point. Have we explained this movie at all? You have
not
to have
at
seen
all.
this movie.
Well, we actually we have, but not really, because there's really not much more than what we're talking about, except for like an order of how it happens.
Yeah, it was. Yeah, it was the beginning where they found out the conflict. He told him he doesn't want to talk to him anymore. Then he's like, "What the fuck?" And he tells his sister. He tells his buddy Dominic, and yada yada yada.
The bartender.
We find out the abuse of Dominic, the bartender.
It's just a town full of weird people,
and everyone just gossiping everywhere. It's kind of fun. Even like the priest, he go like, no, we are, but
he was the main. He was the main gossiper.
Dude. Yeah. It's like, well, Padre told me to talk to you about it. He's like, what? Yeah, probably.
Yeah.
But yeah,
maybe Podrick.
What? Oh, maybe.
Are you saying the priest had relations with Podrick?
Maybe. Could be.
All right. So what about the Banshee?
Well, Banshee was a song, wasn't it? The Banshee of Inishirin ended up being the song he wrote, right?
Yeah, that was the name of the song.
Yeah, but what about
the Banshee? I think we're referring to as the old lady that kind of looked.
So
like
was
a
she real? Was this lady like a real lady, or was she like
saying
a
she was
supernatural force?
You're saying she was a ghost?
No, she was. No,
I'm not saying she was a ghost. I'm saying, was she like supernatural, or is she like just an old lady? Like, what's up with her?
I think she's just.
That's the one thing about this movie that I was like, what's up with this fucking lady? Is she like the prophet? Is she the demon? Is she the angel? Is she real? Is she just an old lady? I mean, she's just like female Gandalf, for Christ's sake. Is she a wizard?
Well, yeah, her imagery and everything is clearly made to make you ask those questions, but she's just.
So what question did I just ask? Do you think it might be?
In this world, I think they live in a pretty normal world, so I think she is just some old crazy lady, but for the setting and the vibe of this movie, this movie has a vibe that is, like you said, it's a little elevated. There's a little bit of like a fableness to it, a little bit of like fairy tale vibe to it. It's also just
MTV.
a little bizarre at the same time. So like that character is just fitting for that environment. I think she's just an old crazy lady that makes you think of the imagery of a witch.
So no supernatural.
That's what Banshee is. I don't
She's
think
the Banshee.
So. It doesn't. It's not.
Guys,
yeah, I didn't get a supernatural feeling.
Okay, what's a banshee? What's a
banshee? Is a woman,
like a witch,
like a woman-like character that yearns for death, or calls on death.
Oh well, you should have said this earlier, because I didn't know what the definition of a banshee was. Is that what it is, or you're just guessing?
It's like
no, that's a banshee's a real like folklore thing. Like, what's the thing in Jersey that you guys have?
The Jersey Devil.
That's a banshee.
Yeah.
Except it's a woman figure.
A Rivederci.
A Rivederci.
Yeah, it's Irish folklore. He even says in the movie when he said the title of the song, which is Banshees of Inishirin, he's like, but there aren't any banshees on Inishirin. He's like, yeah, I just like the double SH sounds. It's like, but like,
according to Wikipedia, banshee is a female spirit in Irish folklore who heralds the death of a family member, usually by screaming, wailing, shrieking, or keening.
She's the fucking banshee.
Yeah, she walked up, and she heralded death.
Yeah, she's the banshee, you idiots.
Why am I an idiot?
Like
I called you idiots
I don't know
4
about
minutes
literally.
ago.
She's the banshee. You guys are dumb.
You guys are dumb.
Well, what do you think she is, Jake? She's just an old bat.
She's symbolic for a banshee. She's not a literal banshee.
If we were picking one of us,
this movie's symbolic.
Exactly.
Jake's a banshee.
Symbolism, bro. I don't bring death.
You don't know that.
Shit.
You don't have any friends that died?
Not recently.
That's what I thought. You don't know anybody that died? That's what I thought. 9/11.
Anyway.
Are you blaming me for 9/11?
You are the banshee.
I was just some like 9th grade kid just trying to have fun.
It's fucked up for a 9th grader to do.
Yeah, for sure.
Get jacked off under the science table.
I was in science class actually when that happened. I remember.
Were you getting jacked off?
What was his name?
No, I don't think so.
Do you have a banshee under the table blowing you?
Daddy, no.
You think that old lady's good never mind.
Not many teeth, probably.
Keep explaining kind of what happens. What are some key parts, Jake, that we missed?
Okay.
I guess we can talk about like scenes.
Okay.
No, we'll keep going.
You want to talk about scenes of the movie?
What do you want?
Go ahead.
What's your favorite scene?
Mine might be the scene where he confesses his love to Siobhan. That was heartbreaking. That was like so good because he almost reminded me of Forrest Gump in that moment. He's good, man.
Oh, yeah.
You felt your heart broke for this guy.
Mannerisms and everything like that. Everything like
and like you said, he goes,
I'm
just gonna go do those things I was gonna do, I guess.
Yeah.
It's like, all right, bye.
Just that sad walk away is just so like, damn.
It's like
I really hope
it's like you hit a dog.
Back as the Joker.
Yeah, he'd be a good Joker.
Why? I thought that scene was dumb. I don't think that's going to be
the Joker in the end of Batman.
I don't think that's going to be. I know. I thought it was dumb. I thought it was I think it's a bad Joker.
That was dope.
What
do you mean? Why?
I just
They've done Joker enough times.
Yeah, I'm fucking done with Joker, and I think this is gonna be a stupid
done
one.
With Joker.
I think it's
gonna
be a dumb one.
There's gonna be another Joaquin Phoenix Joker movie coming out with Lady Gaga.
That's already happened. I'm in. I'm in on
fine.
that.
Yeah,
and
you want
guess
more
who else is in it?
Jokers?
Oh, you're just not in no more. So no new Jokers, no new friends, no new Jokers.
I believe
there's like 3 fucking Jokers right now.
Brendan Gleeson is gonna be in the
Jared Leto's
Joker.
kind of.
Ooh, that's so. Jared Leto is not the Joker. Jared Leto's Joker is done.
Allegedly.
It never was really either.
Name?
Let's be honest.
What's his name announced his shit yesterday?
Well, we'll see. We'll fucking see.
Yeah, we'll see.
My favorite scene was probably my favorite scene was maybe that the bar scene where Padre gets finally like angry and kind of tells him basically to fuck off, and
I love that scene.
And I like how he like points out, he's like, you're hanging out with this fucking cop that beats his kids and you don't want to talk to me. Like, he's like, like, what's wrong with being nice? And he kind of goes on that rant about just nice people. I thought that was
I thought being nice was how we're supposed to be.
That performance by Colin Farrell was very well
That's
done.
what I'm saying. Like, I'm on Colin Farrell's side when
it
comes to someone just not all of a sudden just deciding not to talk to me. It's not that I would care so much in that, like, okay, you don't want to talk to me anymore. That's fine. But the way that went down, I would just have to like fuck with you for a while.
But how do you do it? How do you do that right?
Do what right?
What Colm wanted to do? How do you do that right?
You sit him down. You sit him down and you say, "Listen, I need a change. My life is not what I want it to be. Not what I thought it would be."
He told him. That's what he did. First day, he told him that.
Yes,
he sat him outside and he told him that.
Yeah, but he could have done it before he decided to ignore him. If he did it first and then walked away at that point, it would have been different. Then me personally, can't speak for Podrick, but me personally, I'd be like, all right, man, respect.
He did it. He was doing it in a way that he thought that it would be done and over with. That's what he was doing. He thought that the way he did it by being kind of cruel, he thought, okay, he's gonna get the message and he's gonna fuck off, but he didn't fuck off. And then he explained, but I think he never had bad intentions. This guy doesn't have bad intentions, although
no,
the road to hell is paved with good intentions.
I don't think anybody has any ill will towards anybody in this movie except for the cop towards his fucking kid.
But that's true. Like how do you go about doing that? Sorry, yeah. How do you go about that? The male breakup, I guess, like the friendship breakup. It's a unique thing in a movie. Like there's plenty of relationship breakup movies, but there's not a lot of movies about like a friend just deciding to not be a friend with someone. It's
especially on a fucking island.
Right. Yeah. LA, you see these people every day. Exactly. Yeah. Nowadays you can fucking block people on social media. You can block their fucking phone number on your cell phone.
Yeah.
But if you see this person literally every day and you go to the same fucking places every day, like it's strange. It's different.
Yeah. It's almost impossible. It's almost impossible.
I remember having a friend in high school do this basically to me, and I think he did this to other people, where he just was like, he's a weird dude. He was kind of an asshole to a lot of people, but he just was like, "Nah, you're not cool anymore. I don't want to hang out with you anymore." I'm like, okay. Like, it was just weird. And then like, I don't know, we weren't like in the same tight friend circles, but I saw this. Like, we had classes together and shit, so it was just like me, just like I had a friend, and suddenly I'm like,
have you ever had to do that?
Guy. Like, it wasn't.
No,
I never did that direct. I mean, I feel like
someone out.
Oh no, yeah, I guess so.
Yeah, but it's in this day and age where I can just not respond to their text messages or fucking do this or that.
Oh,
like,
it's much easier than this.
I'm not saying
this situation where it's like, how do you cut
on an island?
How do you cut someone out that you will literally see on a daily basis? Like that's tricky. Yeah, you can do it now. Like I had to do that to a friend a few years ago.
Cialis.
Stop talking to.
Who was that? What's his name and social security number?
Let's call him the.
Oh,
without saying too much.
Yeah, yeah. I guess I was never that close to him. Although I still get a
Jake
text
and him were like BFF.
I get a text every now and then. You lived with him for a while, didn't you?
Exactly.
You did a lot of nefarious things with that dude.
I mean, I don't know how nefarious you're implying, but
yeah, I'm implying
to an extent, yes.
All the nefarious stuff can be is implied.
I mean, I wouldn't call butt stuff too nefarious.
No,
pretty nefarious
about butt stuff
to the point, not to that point, but there,
What point was it?
Yeah, I think it went
partying and shit, like things like that, and then that guy went off the deep end, and we had to kind of stop talking to him.
You jumped in the deep end for a tad bit. I know you did. You were out deep ending it.
Probably, but I didn't go crazy.
Doggy paddling.
Some people lose their shit.
Back to Banshees.
You know what I kept thinking? Yes. What's that guy's name? Sam Rockwell was in this movie instead of Colin Farrell. It would have been just as good, if not better.
I don't know.
I love Sam Rockwell so much, and he's in a lot of McDonagh's movies. That's why I was saying that. He won an Oscar for the last McDonagh movie.
The novelty of these two together, because of In
it's
Bruges,
great.
I think
it's
is
great.
Is what makes it a little special.
Also, I think Rockwell does more animated characters well. Like I don't know, he doesn't
like
play
Coraline?
that like.
You know what he was so good in was the Green Mile.
Green Mile.
He was so fucking good at Green Mile.
Billy the Kid.
Yes, he was. Yes,
Billy the Kid. I think that's the first time I ever saw him.
Very almost like an aggressive character. Like he plays like those more aggressive type roles.
Well, he's louder, definitely. But Colin Farrell, this is a very different role for Colin Farrell though too. Like he doesn't usually play this role either.
I don't know. I think he has it with like The Lobster and Killing of a Sacred Deer and movies like that. Where I think in the few recent years, Colin Farrell has definitely become much more of a character actor.
I don't know about Killing of a Sacred Deer. The Lobster is, but he's just so simple, and he's just so simple in this movie. A simplicity that he doesn't have in Lobster. He's subdued in The Lobster, but he's not simple.
He's subdued and he's one note in those movies a little bit because like he's very guarded, but in this movie he's totally different than he's ever played. Like he's never played this kind of role, and he got nominated for an Oscar for it. If it wasn't for Brendan Fraser, he'd probably win it.
Right. I mean, he still has a chance. I think. Who knows? I think Brendan Fraser will win, but he does. I think he's got a fighting chance. I think
I wouldn't be upset.
The nominations.
I wouldn't be upset.
All the four main characters have gotten Oscar nominations. It's pretty good.
Gleason, yeah.
8 nominations.
The Joker and the girl.
9, I believe. Yeah.
It's definitely going to win. No? It's definitely going to win either screenplay or
no to 8, not yes to 9. I think it's got a shot at screenplay. I mean, its big competitor this year is Everything Everywhere All at Once, where it's nominating a lot of the same categories, including picture, director.
Everything Everywhere's hard screenplay to beat, dude.
Yeah. I think Everything Everywhere's the screenplay winner for sure.
What about director?
Director's going to go to Spielberg.
You think so?
I think it just will.
I'm still not convinced. I think this Daniels and Martin McDonagh. I think these two movies are a lot stronger than Fabelmans this year. But
listen, Spielberg is a fucking living legend, and this is kind of like his swan song. And the Academy is known for doing things like that.
Yeah, but Spielberg's got I don't even know how many Oscars. He's got several Oscars already.
4.
Yeah. So. I mean, you don't want to. It's hard to argue because they have these Oscars. You don't.
I mean, you never know.
I'm not saying that.
I didn't think Parasite was going to win everything. Like I didn't think it was going to win screenplay. I thought it was going to win picture and director, and that was it. But I thought Tarantino was going to win screenplay, and that didn't happen.
Yeah. I think this could be that sleeper movie that sneaks in and gets a bunch of shit. I mean, I thought 3 Billboards was going to win a bunch of shit when it was nominated for a bunch of shit too.
if anything, Everywhere All at Once is going to win at Bunch of Shit. That's the movie that came out of.
I think
that
so
movie
too. I think that's a big favorite right now.
Hitting a good time. I think that movie hit a good time in the world where it's very bleak right now, and
I'm all for it.
Bagels.
I love I love Everything Everywhere All at Once. It's, you know, but this, and I like everything. I'd say Everything Everywhere All at Once is. It's hard to say better, but I like it more than this movie. But this movie is another one of those like easily top 5 of the year.
Yeah, I agree. This is a great film, made by a great director. I love this director. I've loved everything. In Bruges is one of in my top probably 50 movies of all time.
Yeah, and I was reviewing his work this week. I haven't watched Three Billboards in quite a while, but I watched all his other work like this past week, and it's been a fun viewing. And I was thinking about like ranking his work, and it's like that's almost an impossible thing to do because there's so many things about it, different ones that I like more than others. It's hard to rank them. Like I would say In Bruges, my favorite, but yeah, Schwartz, rank them.
So I'll go from, what is there, 4 of them?
Yeah, four features.
Four would be Banshees. 3 would be Billboards. 2 would be Psycho. 1 would be In Bruges.
Okay, so you think Banshees is his worst movie? And it's hard to, I know it's hard to say worst.
Well, I think it's his personal film I enjoy the least. Yes, I think what I love about his other movies is how insane their characters are and how I like violent kind of things. You know what I mean? So I think his other movies are just a little more interesting. The movie's just a little more interesting.
What'd you put first? Three Billboards? Movie.
No, In Bruges number 1, Seven Psychopaths number 2, 3 Billboards number 3, this number 4.
Okay. Because I think if I go from the bottom, I would probably say Seven Psychopaths is his worst, but it's still, but it's weird because it's
worst,
to me
or it's the one you don't like the best.
I guess you think
this is like his like that's the question, I guess. Do you think this is his
it's hard
movie,
to see,
or do you just not like it?
No, I love all of his movies. I truly do. It's like it's hard to rank them because Seven Psychopaths, I would say, might be his most entertaining one, but it also, I think Seven Psychopaths doesn't have as much maybe depth as the other ones. Like there's not as much of it like a deeper meaning and stuff like that. But I enjoyed Seven Psychopaths a lot. In Bruges, probably my number 1 because it's super funny, but it's like super dark, and it was also just my introduction to Martin McDonagh. So it's like it was like a whole new style to me. Though I mean, I've always loved dark comedy, but the way he presents it is so well done. He's so seamless with going from dark to hilarious in just one quick swoop.
It's a movie that made me love Colin Farrell too. The movie that made me love Colin Farrell was In Bruges. I loved him after that.
This movie did this too. I think this would probably be my number 2. I go back and forth between this and Billboards, but I haven't seen Billboards in a while. And this movie really grew on me. The first time I saw this, I was a little. It's slow. It's
same.
Can't argue that this is a slower movie, but there's something interesting about it, like the dialogue and the characters are so compelling. Yeah, it's so.
This
the more I watched this movie and the more I looked into this, I loved it more and more. So right now, I think this is probably my number 2, where I thought Billboards would have been my number 2, but I think this is my number 2 out of his. So 3 Billboards number 3, I suppose.
I'm with that. I'm with In Bruges than this one. This one was just so good. And the same thing. First time I watched it, I was just like, this is a fucking simple ass. Like nothing else is going on. This is what's going on. It's like there's nothing else is going to happen in this movie. But I still liked it. But I watched it again, and I didn't think this is all that's going on. There's a lot going on in this movie. It's a simple. I mean, we've said it 100 times already, but it's a simple idea. It's a simple story, but there's a lot going on, and there's, as simple as the characters are, there's a lot of depth to these motherfuckers. There's a lot of depth that we're kind of searching for on our own because McDonagh didn't give it to him. So what he's given us is enough for us to want more. And if that means like making it up on our own, then I think that, and like just making up our own understanding of why these characters are doing what they're doing, because all he's showing us is them doing what they're doing.
I think that goes to the townspeople too, of like each one of these people also has their own relationship to our characters, and it's unique to them. And you, as an audience, realizing that there's so much backstory or not even backstory. There's so much these people know each other super well. And before we met these people, they've been best friends. They've all communicated every day like this for however long they've been alive. So there's so much history to these people, and you don't know anything about it, but it's so prevalent that it's there. You know what I mean? Like these people know each other really well. And for not having backstory and giving it to you, but you realizing that and knowing that just from how the characters interact, like that's pretty great. Like that's it's pretty impressive.
He created a world really well. He built this town from scratch, and it's so beautiful too. Like that's something about another comment for Banshees is that this is probably the best cinematography of all of his movies. Like it's just a beautiful. I think the country helped, but like just the way it was shot, the lighting, the costume design, the town, the set design, all that. Like it's just really really well done.
There's something to be said about how you see when you think of 1923, you think of black and white, and I think I heard what's her name, the sister, she was talking about how you see pictures of the 20s, you're seeing black and white pictures, you're not seeing color. So to see it in color is of that time in a place like you keep saying, Schwartz, is we've never really seen before, even though we've seen Braveheart. I know that's Scotland, but I'm sure they go to Ireland in there at some point.
Of course, we've seen Ireland, but thing. Like this is
not
this like is a world where they haven't. Yeah, it's pretty great.
It's a time, it's a place and a time that we're not used to. God, didn't know where I was going with this.
I think that's why I love that show Atlanta so much. Is they paint something that I've never been a part of and never really seen up close, and it's so interesting to me the way they do it. That's another thing, and that's what this movie did. It's like, of course, I've seen Ireland and pictures and like seen movies based there, or scenes based there, but this painted it like in a very specific way that I haven't necessarily seen before.
Yeah, you haven't spent time with the locals of 1920 Ireland.
Yeah, exactly.
Not even Ireland. Like it's the fact that they are on this tiny island off of Ireland that may as well not be Ireland. May as well be fucking Mars as far as they're concerned. Yeah. As far as most of them are concerned.
I think one of my other favorite scenes in this movie is when Podrick's writing the letter back to his sister, and he's basically saying like, "Hey, I'm not going to be coming there because that's not what I want personally. I hope to see you again someday, blah, blah, blah." And it was just like, damn, that's another thing about this movie, is just showing you like how things change. One of the only constants in life is change, and how you adapt to it. Like, you know what I mean? Like, he's so used to having his sister there cooking for him. He's so used to going to the pub at 2 p.m. with his boy, and now like his entire life is just thrown on its head because now what does he do? Like so the ending. All right, let's talk about the ending.
Yeah.
How do you guys interpret the ending? Are they buds again, or are they not? Like, are they talking?
I think at a certain point they're not going to have a choice until, but he said until our graves. He said until one of our graves. Yeah. What happens when he walked? Because at the very end, we didn't explain any of this. The
set his house on fire. Yeah.
Crux of the story is because he won't leave Colm alone. Podrick, Colm in a act of whatever, defiance or
rage or defiance. Yeah.
Rage or just trying to prove a fucking point. He cuts his fingers off one by one. Actually, he cuts one off, then he cuts all of them off and throws them at.
Because he keeps talking to him.
Podrick's house. Because he says, "You keep talking to me, I'm gonna go cut my fingers off." And we learn that he's a violinist or a fiddle player, and he's it's not a cello, but
fiddle.
Whatever.
that one got me off guard. It's definitely not a cello. Cello. I fucking forgot what I was saying. You fucked me up with a musical faux pas.
Yeah, he cut the fingers off so he can't play the cello. So he's kind of like showing, if you keep doing this to me, you're gonna ruin my dreams.
Like, I have a dream, and I'm trying to do that, and that involves you fucking off. And if you don't fuck off, not only what's the point of him hurting himself instead of Podrick? I guess that's the the main like thought behind this whole thing. He's not a bad guy, right? That's the thing, is there's no bad people here. He just has a thing he wants and he's not getting it, and he's not gonna stoop to hurting someone else. So he's got to do this
Right.
to himself.
I think as much as he hates it, that Podrick is pretty much the thing preventing him from achieving his goals, but Podrick doesn't get it. So this is a physically showing Podrick, like, if you do this, this is what's going to happen.
Yeah.
And because you did this, I'm fucking losing my hands.
I want to show you
if I lose
how
my
much
hands, I
this is
cannot accomplish
affecting
my
me.
dreams because it's physically it's physically your fault, Podrick. I think.
I can't get through to you how much this is affecting me. So I need to show you by throwing my fingers.
Pretty much, yeah. And it's bizarre. It's certainly a weird approach to it. Like, even it's funny. My head, when I first saw this movie, it felt like almost like a Yorgos Lanthimos film, where like it suddenly like shifted to like,
it's
when
funny,
he cut his fingers off. It was like, is this that's when it jumped from, it didn't feel realistic for a little while, when it still does at the end. I still feel like it's more or less grounded, but it with a heightened sense. But like it felt very strange because of the Yorgos and the whole Colin Farrell.
Google Banshees of Inishirin, people also search comes up, and The Favorite comes up. And is that not a Yorgos?
It is.
Yeah,
Yorgos also directed The Lobster and Killing of a Sacred Deer.
Oh, he did.
Yeah, which star Colin Farrell, and also Barry Keoghan. So I guess that was probably in my head a little bit too, because Colin Farrell works with both these directors a lot.
Mm-hmm.
Some of his best work with these guys too.
I think it is his best work, honestly.
Man, you could really tell when everybody gets along on a movie, right?
Right, for sure. Yeah, because I got Colin Farrell and Brendan Gleeser's seem like some like real good friends in real life, so that's cool. It shows.
And the kid from Sacred Deer and him have that history too. And Colin Farrell has worked with Carrie Condon years and years ago. And the director, I think Carrie Condon was in his first movie or one of his plays.
I think she was in his plays.
Yeah, and same with Brendan Gleeson. He's done plays with them. He was in the first movie, short and feature he did. Yeah, he was in Six Shooter and in Bruges. So
yeah,
and
it's a very close, small knit little group. Yeah,
and you can tell.
And the DP 3 of his movies, so they have a rapport too. I don't know which one he didn't do, but
even the composer, he's scored all of his movies. So he works with the same people. He does a good job. I think that's smart on his part. He just does what he knows.
But
he keeps it simple, but he's very complex and deep.
Back to the story, in throwing his fingers at his house, his Colin Farrell's beloved donkey eats and chokes and dies on one of his fat fiddle playing fingers, and that's where it turns. That's where it turns. I mean, we've already seen him like have an outburst at him and get mad at him, but we don't see. Nothing changed. After he got mad at him before, the next day he was still like, so are we good or what? Like, what's going on? This is what changed from him going, all right, I guess this is war if this is what you want. And it's not even war. He's just like, this is what's going to happen now. I'm going to come to your house.
Colin started. Yeah. Sorry. He was going to come to his house.
I'm going to come to your house.
Colin did.
Go ahead.
Yeah. Colin did. Sorry, we're talking over each other. Colin did start changing a little bit. His character started getting a little darker because when he had that blow up at the bar,
he got fed up, dude.
Yeah. Well, they had the blow up at the bar. Then he heard what Colm said about him, that like, oh, he's finally interesting again. So he started doing mean shit, and like he did that. He basically lied to one of Colm's students, told him his like dad died.
That was a sad moment too when Dominic when he was having that conversation with Dominic and he because that was his last friend. I mean, we see Podrick lose everything essentially, even his fucking retard friend.
Yeah.
Wait, so what kid are you talking about? The student? I don't remember this.
The student, when like the student was one of the fiddle students. He was walking on the side of the road. Podrick picks him up and he's like, "Oh, there was a letter from your mommy." And he's like, "What? My mom's dead." And he's like, "Oh, I'm sorry. From your auntie about your daddy." He's like, "Oh, what happened?" oh, your daddy got hit by a bread truck and died. He's like, that's impossible. He's like, this was a really funny scene because it was
no.
Because he's like, yeah, your father got hit by a bread truck. He's like, that's impossible. He's like, no, it actually happened. He's like,
people.
No, my mother got killed by a bread truck.
People get hit by bread trucks every day. He's like, no, that's the same way my mother died.
My mother also, yeah. He's like, if it's the same bread truck, I'm gonna fucking kill him.
I don't remember.
Well, it was just like it was a very funny but like dark turn for Colin because it was the first or not Colin but Colin Farrell, but it was a dark turn for Podrick because that was one of like the first mean things Podrick did. Basically to get back at Colm, yeah. And then he told that story to Dominic. And I think that was the last interaction between those two as well, because that's when Dominic's like,
Dominic
leaves.
Well,
that's pretty cruel. Like you're not nice. And then that's when he goes professes the love, and then that also I think that all leads to Dominic killing himself.
That also gives a little more to Dominic killing himself because fucking A, we see everyone lose everything in this movie in a certain way. we see Podrick loses friend. What's his name loses fingers. Siobhan loses her shit when she leaves. Podrick loses Siobhan. Podrick loses all of his friends, including Dominic. Dominic loses his friend and his two last things on this island was I'm hanging out with the one good guy, the one nice guy, and maybe I have a chance with his sister. And he turns out he's not the nice guy, and it turns out he really definitely doesn't have a chance with his sister. Two really,
you feel bad for him.
Absolutely,
yeah.
So maybe he did off himself.
And that's like led to the theory of offing himself. They're never clear on that, but like, that's, and there's certainly a suicide theme in Martin McDonagh's work, and there's a depression theme within this movie. Like even with Colm, him talking to the priest asked him about, are you still feeling despair? So like referencing a previous conversation they had about him clearly being depressed.
Well, because in the first time he says when he goes in and when Podrick tells the priest to talk to him, he goes, "Are you feeling despair?" And he's like, "No, not really. Like I'm feeling fine now," because he's like finally doing what he wants to do. And then after he kills the donkey, he goes back in, and this is after not only he kills the donkey, but a lot of other things have happened. And he confesses to the donkey, and he asks him again, "Do you feel despair?" And he goes, "Yeah, it's a little bit back." It's fucking sad. Yeah. This movie's making me depressed. So he goes up to him,
but sad.
He says, "Yo, you killed my donkey. Prepare to die."
He's gonna burn down his house.
Yeah, tomorrow, 2:00, I'm coming to your house. The Lord's Day, Sunday. I'm gonna fucking burn your house down. Make sure your dog's outside.
But he takes the dog.
Yeah, because he's not a savage.
Tells him put the dog outside.
Nobody wants to kill animals. He didn't want to kill animals.
He's not gonna kill. He's not gonna kill a dog.
What's his name?
I love that.
That's still the side of him. Like, okay, he's still a nice guy. Like, there's still some heart with him. He isn't fully gone Vader. He's just.
I love when the dog's just like chilling at his house when he's just like sitting there. The dog's like, man, get the fuck out of here.
It was, but it just goes back to the kind of how simple. Once he decided, like, that was the line. This is what I'm gonna do, and there's no question about it. Like, this is like, I need to do that. I need to burn your house down now. There's no ifs, ands, or buts. I'm not feeling. It doesn't even seem like he felt any kind of way about it. He's just like, this is what you deserve for what you have done. And that kind of, it's kind of a simple, less humane. I don't know.
And he tells him, like, just stay in the house. Like, he doesn't seem like he directly doesn't want to kill him, but if he dies, then it's over.
Basically, I'm burning your house down, whether you're in it or not. Okay, so we've gotten there. It turns out he wasn't in the house. I mean, he was when he started the fire, but somehow he got out. He's on the beach. They go and they talk. So what do they say at the end there?
Basically, they reference that the Civil War is over, or they're at least at a ceasefire, and Podrick says something along the lines of, "He's like, oh, that's too bad. Like, some things you just got to keep fighting for, or something along those lines. Like, some things just never change." Kind of in referring to like he's gonna keep doing this because he seems to like he might hate him, but I don't know. There's a moment of conflict when I think when he walks away, and when he walks away. Colm turns to him and says, "Hey, well, thanks for looking after my dog." And then he kind of like has this moment of like, shit. And he says, anytime. And then he kind of looks at him and then turns again, where it feels like that look was like it pains him that they're still not friends anymore, but he thinks he's got to continue this battle, I guess. Just a strange ending. I have mixed feelings about like how that ended, but it was
before when he
executed.
went into to the pub after when at the very, or not the very end, but toward the end, after the donkey died, he's in there fingerless teaching all his friends how to play his song, and he's yelling at him. He does say "to the grave," like we're taking this to the grave now. So did he mean it?
Meaning that they're taking the friendship to the grave, or the shunning?
No, we're taking this, like, it's not over. This is just the beginning.
Yeah. Okay. It seems like he wants to get even for the donkey. Like he said, the donkey was basically now it's started, because he first tries to call it off. He's like, was really sorry, was very, very sorry that he killed the donkey. He had no intention of killing the donkey because the donkey just choked on the finger.
Yeah.
And he was clearly sorry about it. And he tries to call off their feud. He says, okay, let's just call this quits. But
he didn't know about the donkey at that point. He when he came in, he was like, no need to apologize. I don't need, like, I'm fucking didn't want my fingers anyway. I'm happy they're gone. And then he goes, nah, that's I didn't come here to apologize. I came here to say, it's on, bitch.
Right. Yeah. So yeah.
And then he says to the graves.
Where it's just like prank wars.
I love that
to the grave, but there's just that hesitation and that look, I think, at the very end.
I think they're going to be friends again soon. I think they're going to hang out soon.
Yeah.
I think they're not going to have a choice. If they're both on that island for long enough, they're not going to have a choice but to go to. He's written his song. He's done what he wanted to do. And it seemed like when he came, he would, like you said, he was kind of putting an end to it. All right, it's over. I got my song written. People are learning it. It's going to travel the world for eternity. At that point, he might have been like, let's be friends again. But no, that's not going to happen.
Fuck, you know what would have been an interesting ending? Is if both of them stayed in the house as it burned down. That would have been pretty wild.
Or if Calm stayed and then Padre just offed himself.
Or they just both died in the house together. That would have been interesting.
Yeah.
I would have been like, all right.
Or if instead of burning the house down, he just cracks the dog's neck and then gets back on his wagon and leaves.
Or Padre gets so dumb where he actually he tries to start the fire from the inside of the house and he realizes he trapped himself inside of the house, so they both burn together.
I would be so disappointed if he killed the dog. I'd be like, damn, Padre.
He goes there, he cuts his own thumb off and shoves it down the dog's throat.
Puts it up the other dude's butt.
Yeah. It's not a revenge for the dog. He doesn't want to hurt.
We're back to butt stuff.
Calm.
Great
dog's fault.
Great film. Great film.
Yeah. Good movie.
What would you give it on a 10 scale?
$8.1.
I'm gonna go 7.9.
Okay. It's lower than I thought for you guys. I'm in like 8.8.
I mean, we're all within a point. It's pretty good.
Yeah.
All right, Banshees of Inishirin. Go fucking watch this one. It's cool.